Well, last week we were talking to Dr. Yui Strower from Neutrog about blood and bone and its benefits and its slow way of acting. Today we're talking about giving you a bit of a rundown on autumn leaves and just what to do with them. Very timely. Yui, how are you?
Good morning. Yes, very well. Thank you very much, Graham. Yeah, I thought I'd talk a little bit about all those autumn leaves from those deciduous trees. And as you mentioned, it's halfway through autumn already, and we're getting to the point where we really need to think about what should we do with them. Now, the question is, do I put them in the green waste? Do I let them rot down where they lay? Or do I basically compost them? Well, autumn leaves can present an issue for your garden, especially if you've got a lot of trees. So there's a couple of things to consider. Firstly, the trees have really pulled most of the nutrients out of the leaves, so they don't represent a huge nutrient investment in your garden. So basically, they're a good source of carbon, a little bit of nutrients, and they're really best placed in your compost because they're really a good addition to other material, and they can break down fairly quickly.
So, what's the issue to leave the leaves in the garden?
Well, there's two major issues. The first, they tend to cover low-lying cover plants, so therefore they can deprive them of sunlight and essentially starving them. And the other issue is once they get wet and trap moisture, when they cover the plants, they then encourage rot to set in. And I've seen this in my own garden where my ground covers were partially covered, and effectively I left them there and I was too lazy to remove them, and then when I did remove the leaves, the plants underneath where the leaves had been had basically rotted. So obviously that's the last thing you want at the start of winter is areas of rot, and the moisture only makes it worse and becomes very, very hard to control until it gets drier and warmer. So it's best to avoid it to start with. Also, the leaves get blown around. They tend to cover and gather at the base of shrubs, and that's another area where you can get rot set into that collar rot.
Yes, so true. And with perennials like hellebores and gerbras and things, when they get covered with leaves like that, especially at the crown of the little perennials, they can rot off very quickly. Now, for composting the leaves, any specific suggestions that you might have?
Yeah, well, essentially the leaves are carbonous. They really need some nitrogen in your compost to make sure that they break down. And one way to do that is to throw in the leaves and then throw in a couple of handfuls of, say, something like Rooster Booster or Rapid Raiser, and then water the whole thing in with GOGO Juice, because GOGO Juice is really brewed and designed to contain those bacteria and fungi that are involved in breaking down organic matter. And that makes a great compost accelerator because in essence, most composts fail either due to a lack of nitrogen or moisture. So grab your compost, squeeze it hard. If water drips out, it's too wet. Your hand should come out a little bit moist, and also your compost shouldn't all stick together. It should sort of come apart in your hand. It literally unfolds like a crumpled up piece of paper.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I always use the GOGO Juice, and I throw in a few pellets of whatever I've got, Sudden Impact for Roses or whatever, but Rooster Booster or Rapid Raiser. You just got to get that nitrogen, folks, into those leaves that are going into your compost heap, and mix it up a little bit with the cut grass and the kitchen scraps. Then you'll really kickstart the whole thing especially with a good dose of GOGO Juice on top of it all. Now, these Neutrog products are available at Bunnings, other hardware outlets, and, of course, all good garden centres. Good advice. I like that chat. I love it, because a lot of people are wondering what to do with all those leaves now, Yui.
Not a problem, Graham. Have a fantastic Easter, and same to your listeners.
Yeah, you too, pal. All the best to you. Yeah, well, there you go. Throw in some Rooster Booster, some fertiliser, and make sure you water on that GOGO Juice. It really helps break them all up.